Christmas is truly one of the greatest times of the year. A time for family and friends to come together to celebrate the birth of one of the most influential men in human history. That's right, Isaac Newton. It's a time where we can all snuggle inside away from the ice-cold rain, give gifts to each other, eat loads of wonderful food, and sit down and watch classic holiday movies. Tune into the current reigning monarch's annual speech to the nation, and listen to Mariah Carey for the 400th time this week. But there is one more part of the festive season that permeates all of these. One fundamental part of our culture that you simply cannot escape. Advertising. Now, to those unfamiliar, I absolutely love advertising. It's even got its own channel on my Discord server, link in the description. And in my opinion, the best adverts come at Christmas time. And why not? It's the biggest shopping season of the entire year, with people spending hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, dollars, euros, yen, ningis, prime goats, and rupees on various items for the people you like. So in this season, it's important to get people to remember who you are. This leads to all the great mega corporations funneling millions of the aforementioned currencies into hopefully creating some of the greatest works of marketing they will ever make. The biggest name, at least in the UK, in this holiday soup of capitalism eye candy, has to be John Lewis, whose festive adverts have become so iconic their annual appearance is as much a staple of Christmas as all the tinsel trees in Turkey. And rightfully so. Every single year they knock it out of the park with such high quality ads that you forget that it's trying to sell you something and think it's its own short film. And they tug on my heartstrings every single time. I mean, this year they somehow made me feel sorry for a giant Venus flytrap. And I've also got to mention this year's Amazon ad. That thing is brilliant. Simple, perfect. You can tell they're a mega corporation who can afford good advertising, people. It's just great. Grannies on sledges. Perfect. However, despite all my praises for these amazing Christmas ads, the subject of today's video has yet to be overthrown. The First World War was one of the worst conflicts in human history, and one of the last things anyone would associate with Christmas. And yet, the British supermarket chain Sainsbury's decided to make it the main focus of their 2014 Christmas advert. The commercial itself is based on the true story of the Christmas Day truce that took place exactly 100 years prior to the advert's creation, on which, for one day, Christmas Day, at several points along the Western Front, guns fell silent and soldiers emerged from their trenches, walking across no man's land and greeting one another not as bitter enemies, but as human beings who got dragged into a hell of mud, rats, and bodies. I cannot imagine how hard of an undertaking it must have been for everyone behind this ad, but you can really tell how much research, love, and respect went into crafting this masterpiece. So many little details pop out that make this thing feel so real. Things like the Germans being the first ones to start singing Silent Night, both being accurate to the real-life event, and also what I believe to be a nod to the fact that it's a German song. Or throughout the story of the two generals from both sides meeting with a cheerful handshake, then later seen looking in unison to the sound of distant artillery, and finally next seen saluting each other just before heading back to their respective trenches. And you can't talk about this thing without mentioning the football match. Absolutely no coherent dialogue is heard during the scene. It's nothing but distant shouts of cheering, laughter, and clapping, with a beautiful sweeping rendition of Silent Night played over the whole thing, before everything gets halted by the reignited gunfire. It's all just perfect. The main focus of the whole thing is on these two, Jim and Otto. They are the first ones to go over the top in peace. They are the first to shake hands in no man's land. And in spite of the language barrier, they have a brief but moving conversation, with the two first asking how the other is, before Jim shows Otto a picture of Rose, his sweetheart, waiting for him at home. The conversation gets broken up by the football game, and then they meet one last time, in which the only thing said being
Danke. Happy Christmas. Frohe Weihnachten.
Before very begrudgingly going back to their trenches. Although it isn't over just yet, as both men snuck a small present to the other. Otto receiving Jim's chocolate bar from home, and Jim getting what appears to be some sort of shortcake, Pop-Tart thing. If anyone knows what this is, please let me know in the comments. The whole thing wraps up with a simple message. Christmas is for sharing. I love this advert so much because it does so much and takes so many risks to make something that so many other companies wouldn't dare to even attempt. For a start, choosing to set a Christmas ad during World War I of all times was such a bold move on Sainsbury's part. It could have very easily come off in poor taste, and I imagine if it was made now, probably would, considering how sensitive our modern society has become. But they did it, and they knew they had to do it right. They didn't just get some actors and shove them in costumes. No, they got actual members of the Royal British Legion, people who knew exactly what a soldier from a century ago would be like. They got all the costumes, props, set, everything to be as historically accurate as possible. The most famous example of which being the hero prop of the blue chocolate bar, which Sainsbury's themselves actually sold in stores, donating 100% of its profits to charitable efforts aiding soldiers. The decision to make it about the truth is the true emotional punch that drives this ad home in my mind, because it's a painful reminder that these were just normal people sucked from their home and families to fight each other in other men's wars. And these human beings decided that for just one day, Christmas Day, everything could be alright, and they could greet each other as humans, and not as a faceless enemy to be shot at. This ad reminds us that peace is always possible, that humanity will always prevail, that sharing gifts of happiness with others is just one of the reasons why Christmas is one of the greatest holidays, and that even giant corporate entities can have a heart too. 1914 is the best Christmas ad to have ever been made. I hope all of you can enjoy a happy Christmas this year, and I give many happy wishes to next year and to all the years to come. Be thankful, be kind, be peaceful, and remember. I have been the Invisible Cactus. Merry Christmas, everyone.